Welcome to the T Rowe podcast, your ultimate destination for mastering the world of real estate and mortgage with an unwavering and huge emphasis on maintaining the right mindset. You know, in this ever-evolving landscape of real estate and mortgage, success absolutely requires more than just industry knowledge. It absolutely demands resilient and positive mindset. I'm anxious to share with you my experiences, storytelling, special guests. Let's get started. Focused on thinking, retaining, obtaining, and winning every single day. That's what T Rowe stands for. Hold on tight. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to T Rowe, everybody. I am your guest, Tim Rowe, and T Rowe. And I've got another phenomenal guest in the studio today, and it is my dear friend, business partner over the years, Miss Linda Ellen Anderson. Welcome to the T Rowe studio, Linda Ellen.
I'm so happy to be here.
You finally made it.
Yes.
We were scheduled for a few weeks ago. I had to cancel. Real job got in the way, right?
Real job.
So I want to set the stage and give everybody kind of a high-level rundown. We can't cover your entire history, Linda Ellen, because we're talking probably 10 episodes in a month it would take just to
Yeah, too many.
Right? But it is important for all the listeners to understand that you and I crossed paths, me as a mortgage lender, you as a realtor, of course. It's been 20 years, you said.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're still in real estate,
30
right?
years later.
30 years you've been in business.
Yep.
And you've known me for 20 of it. And that's pretty amazing. You're still doing I haven't chased you out of it.
No, you haven't chased me away.
Business just yet. So let's talk about real estate really briefly. There's a lot going on, and I know we want to move beyond that, but give me your take. What's happening?
Well, tell me something what you do in your field.
So, gosh, everyone is concerned that rates are too high.
What if they weren't?
Yeah, and some people are concerned that housing prices are too high.
But what if it wasn't?
Yeah, see, I love that you say that. And by the way, we're having some fun here, everybody, because was it about, I don't know, last year sometime you and I got together for lunch. You invited me out. We went and got lunch. And you made that comment to me, and it just resounded. It sticks with me to this day. And the point is, everybody, that clients, sales professionals, realtors, loan officers, you name it, it's sometimes always the sky is falling, right?
It's mindset.
It's mindset. And you said to me, well, what if it wasn't?
Yeah.
In other words, okay, interest rates are high, Mr. and Mrs. Loan Originator, and you're letting that get in the way of going out and helping more people. And you simply said to me, well, what if they weren't? Yeah. Let's just assume rates were 3%. What are you going to do different in your business? Right?
That's right.
It's the same thing. If housing prices weren't high, well, what are you going to do that you're not doing today?
Yeah. What's your solution?
Right.
Yeah. What's your mindset? You can't complain. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, and it just hit me, and I still use that. So thank you.
You're welcome
for that.
I'm glad you remembered it. I made an impression.
Oh, no shortage of Linda Ellen making an impression. Let's just put that. Let's just put that out there right out of the gate.
Oh, you're funny.
So I want to encourage everybody. Gosh, dang it! When you come across it, just simply ask yourself, well, what if it wasn't?
Yeah.
What if rates weren't?
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. How would it change the way we go about doing business? And of course, I say, everyone who's listened to my episodes in the past, I say it every time. We're in the business of helping people.
Yeah.
So
it's relationships.
Right. Regardless of what the rate was, regardless of what the sales price of the home was, regardless of how long the offer is going to be or the contract or whatever the case is, just remind yourself, what if that changed, and how does that change the way you go about doing business?
It's all about, we have to eat and we have to live somewhere. It's very simple to me. It's a simple solution. How are we going to fix it?
Exactly right. Well, I know you're busy. In fact, you just came from, it sounds like, just having recently won an award.
Yeah, RE/MAX awards. 4 years in a row.
4 years in a row.
I think I have more awards. I have boxes. I have to find something to do with. I heard the Boy Scouts, you can take back your plaques, and they'll take them off and give them to the Boy Scouts. That's a good place to recycle them.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And so, okay, you're at RE/MAX now. You've been in real estate for 30 years.
30 years.
Done a ton of real estate transactions. Always in El Dorado County area? Or?
No, I was in the Bay Area the first 10.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So a couple things that happened with my career. I was very fortunate to get into training and helping agents very early on I was at the time with Prudential. So for 10 years, I taught contracts. I had a hand in helping on the forms committee for the state of California to devise the new contract that we use today that has all the stuff on the front 3 pages, which made every loan officer and every agent very happy.
Yeah.
But it took us 5 years to get it through the forms company or the forms procedures with the state, which is true with anything. And when I say state, I mean the California Association of Realtors. We have next week we'll be in Sacramento. We have different committees that we work on, and there is a forms committee that held that, and that's kind of how that went. But it had to be statewide, so there was a lot of obstacles and agreements to go through. But through all that, I kind of got into this leadership mode, and I've been the president of our association here locally for El Dorado County. It was amazing. What a journey, and I've made great friends doing that. And then I decided if I was going to be put in these positions, I needed to actually go get some sort of credential, I thought that'd be a good thing to have. So I went in 2016, and I'm very proud to say that I work with John Maxwell, and most of you probably heard of him. He's a guru in leadership. So in 2016, I became a speaker, trainer, and coach for him. And what's happened with my real estate career is, of course I coach agents and I can coach my clients, but it's kind of developed into this new coaching business for me now, and I coach people around the country. And one of the things I focus back on, we were talking about, is skill set development. Yeah. And it happens with improvement life production, one skill at a time.
I love that.
And it's really interesting when you start looking at what you're talking about with somebody, because I'm working with this one person where, they work in an office and the skill sets of the people are all different and they're supposed to be a team. And so they're starting to work out the kinks, and we're actually working on some, how do we develop this to there to get you moved so that you can work more efficiently with them. And people today work more in teams. That seems to be kind of the mode. In real estate, you see it. You see a lot of teams. You see teams in sales systems. You see teams in businesses. So there's a real need for this. So it's really exciting. And, I still do sell real estate. I want you to not forget that.
Right.
But it's kind of developed into, I will say this, and this is an interesting topic, but, most real estate agents don't know how to balance their life. And most loan officers don't know how to balance their life. So as time goes on, you learn that you do have a family, you do have to eat, you do have to take care of how you look, and, you have to kind of step back. And then most importantly, you have to exercise. And I feel at this point in my life, I have more control, and you guys will all laugh. Being a successful agent and a producer and an award winner, my goal was, I'm going to learn how to balance this somehow. And Tim remembers me 20 years ago where I was running. Yeah, the magic. I mean, so that's why I feel like this is great. This is a great point in my life, because I kind of understand how to do that. And a lot of it, Tim knows, it takes focus.
It does take focus. I want to talk, I want to dive into the coaching and mentorship aspect. Because well, one, I'm not out in I'm not doing a coaching business per se, right? But I have lots of friends, you and my other friend Craig and many others. But it interests me, as you're sitting here talking about it, a light bulb went off, that the type of person you started in real estate 30 years ago, and it's who you are to just naturally help those around you. Over the years, our industry, sales in general, and even personally, people hire personal coaches or life coaches, however they call it, right? That's a very popular topic now, but it didn't used to be years ago. Years ago, it was you were on your own. Mm-hmm. No one, if someone used the term coach, it was typically because they were on their way to practice on a Friday afternoon, right?
Play baseball.
Yeah, baseball or football or whatever the case might be. Today, however, there's a lot more where I think folks like you have just naturally ended up in a coaching mentorship environment. But the truth of the matter is, it's really just who you are, right? It's what comes to you very naturally. It's been that way for 30 years. Yeah. It's just now we have a name for it.
Yeah, helping other people for sure. But you know what it is? It's sharpening your tools. Yeah. It's, you over time, you see areas that need help and areas where you can really be more productive. And also, teaching people to focus is difficult because we all know everybody has a different personality. And that's something that you just have to you have to really get to their why and who they are. Coaching is it's even a client. Well, I always back in the day, I'd kid my mentees and my trainees. I'd say, you got to learn to manage your client. And they'd say, what does that mean? I go, well, you got to figure them out. You got to figure out, how do I reach these people so they understand how important what we're doing is, and to make it efficient for them, and also to help them get the most money they can get out of the sale of their home, or get a buyer a great deal.
Sure.
You have to have a good lender like Tim.
Well, I got to tell you, I just love where you took that right there for just a second, because obviously, yes, we're in the business of helping people, but controlling their mindset. And it's interesting, because I've actually said this to salespeople over my years of managing branches and that type of thing. You get that call from, in my case, a loan officer. In your case, you've dealt with other realtors. It's like, oh my gosh, this person's so upset about this, and this is this, and the sky is falling, sky is falling, sky is falling. If how we respond to that is the same mindset, we're actually not providing a solution. Someone, somewhere along the way, has to be the calming voice, or to help change the mindset, That's right. It doesn't do us any good to be upset with them.
No. The way I handle that is, and another agent will call you, or something's going on with a client, and I just look at them very calmly and I say, well, how can I help? It's sort of like, the sky's not falling, right? Right. What if they weren't?
Yes, I love that.
So you just switch the mindset, and you say it in a calming voice, and that's part of coaching. There's a lot of things you face when you coach people and help them to be better, because people want to be excellence. They want to be excellence, but to get there is tough. They get in their own way, and they always said in real estate, I'll never forget this, 30 years ago, I came from the Century 21 training, the golden coats. Never had a gold coat though. They were out of those by the time I got mine. I don't know that I would have worn it, but anyway. The point is that when you get to that point, you come into it, they say, don't ever get emotionally involved. Well, that's very hard to do when you're working with, look at how friends Tim and I've become. And, it's hard to not be emotionally involved. And when you're in a transaction, like right now, I'm in one taking care of a gentleman who's very elderly. And I tell people, I have to be there. He needs me, because it's hard for him. He hasn't sold a house in over 20 years, has no idea. He looks at me the other day and he goes, all this paperwork. Oh my God. So one thing I will say, the industry's changing. It has been changing since I started. When I got in, there was an 8-page contract, then we went to a 6-page contract, then we went to a 4, and that's when I got on the forms committee and said, wait, we got to figure this out. But right now we're going through a shift in real estate, and the shift will take us wherever it's going to take us, but the mindset should be people still need to buy and sell homes, and they still need loans. And loan companies and officers are getting more creative in how they do loans. I had a conversation with an elderly, another seasoned agent myself, and we were talking about, seconds might come back. Now, Tim will pick that one up.
Well, it's a perfect example. When I started in the industry, like way back when, and met you and started working with you shortly thereafter, which, as it turns out, you're a great mentor, right? Like here I was new in the industry, and we worked together, and now look at me.
Yeah. Now you're a sales success guy.
Right, that's right. But I can remember we went through a run where, now all of a sudden everyone was getting a home equity line of credit. Then we went through a run where interest rates went down 3% level or lower. No one was doing lines of credit. Well, guess what? I want to say the number is 60 or 70% of all mortgages in the United States today start with a 4 or less. Mm-hmm. Now, what's very interesting about this is nobody's in a big hurry to run away from their 3% mortgage.
No, that's why we have less sales.
Absolutely. Yep. But when you look at the news, you'd have to be living under a rock not to realize this. One of the things that's gone out of control is consumer debt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's insane. So now, just like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, people are finding ways to consolidate their debt by using the equity in their home. Well, that's where the HELOC product comes in. That's probably our number one use case. Number 2 is home improvement. Mm-hmm. And I just walked you through my remodel project, so you can see how that's going.
Yeah, beautiful.
You've done the same thing.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of use cases, and tapping into that equity is key. Mm-hmm. And so, that's what we're doing at Figure. Now, the difference is what we're doing at Figure is we're really launching technology, facilitating getting access to your equity literally in as little as 5 days.
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
Great product.
It's working very, very well as we move forward. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Put me on the spot. I'm ready for you.
This question was asked of me recently in regards to lending.
Okay.
So now I'm going to ask it of you because I like the question so much. What do you think, if there's any one thing you could identify, what do you think is the biggest mistake you see agents making right now today?
You're going to laugh at me because you know me well. I have a lot of those things after my name. They call it alphabet soup, but I'm a CRS. I've made it all the way, and I'm actually was the president of CRS last year in California, and I'm also the regional vice president of 5 states right now. I'm not going to name them all at the moment, but I will tell you this. I really feel education is the number one thing. I think if you don't learn your industry backwards and forwards, ins and outs, you are not able to pivot the changes. That's a big deal, pivoting the changes, because everything's changing all the time, whether it's lending with rates, whether it's people coming and going out of the industry, whether it's new companies, whether it's new ideas that I work for RE/MAX presently, where RE/MAX is bringing into the fold. Whatever it is, it's always pivoting. So if you're not educated, and it's changing.
Oh, my gosh.
It's changing.
First of all, can I just say, literally now, like if we didn't still have more to talk about, that's like a mic drop moment for me. I love that answer. I love that you said it, and it's going to lead me right into a comparison that I want to draw. And that is, there are some big changes coming for real estate, especially in pertaining to buyers agents and commissions. And by the way, I've on record of saying I'm actually tired of hearing about it, because the only thing I'm hearing about is how am I going to get paid? How am I going to earn my commission? Who's going to pay my commission?
Well, first, let me stop you. We can't use the word commission. We have to use the word compensation, because that's the professional way to look at it. And to be honest with you all, which is really funny, and I hope the whole world sees this, we've always negotiated it. Right. We just didn't explain it very well. You know, we didn't explain that you have this choice, you have that choice. And so now it's been pivoted to us that we need to explain that better. Well, but I will say this, the industry is going through a huge change, and it will be months before they figure it out. We are independent contractors, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. My husband we have our own construction company. We've built homes. We are really in the trenches, and I'm in the trenches in real estate. But the thing I want to tell you is it's always different on how things are going. It's just, that's the pivoting I'm talking about. You're always pivoting with change. And where is this going? I don't know. But independent contractors, we know our superiors above us are trying to, figure out how they can make it different, where we all become employees, which is easier for the system. If you think about it, it's much easier on the system. But people like myself that are true entrepreneurs and want to help other people have that mindset that Tim and I have, that is a change. And
well, here's the tie-in. This is what I love about this. Your comment regarding education and being the where agents should really spend a lot of their time and energy. This to me is no different than changes we've seen in our industry over the years. And you've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a few changes. And every single time, and I'm going to give you an example of this, but every single time the media, which is not our friend in this regard, the media is reporting everything from a sky is falling, our industries are over. In fact, I can remember seeing a newspaper article that the label of the article, this is some years ago, actually said, it's time to get out of the business.
Oh, yeah. I remember that too.
But by the way, if we had gotten out of the business, it would have been a massive mistake, because there's been tremendous markets since that time, right? But here's my most recent comparison I want to make. Do you remember a few years ago, Linda Ellen, when the announcement came out regarding TRID? Mm-hmm. And do you remember what everyone was saying? It's going to take 90 days to close a transaction. You're not going to be able to make a living, and on and on and on. By the way, did you have any transactions that took 90 days to close because of TRID?
No, because I had you. No, that wasn't true.
The answer is no.
The same thing is with the computer. When I was there, when we had typewriters with, you guys are going to laugh at me, the book that said, do not duplicate, do not touch. And then the duplicating of the carbon paper and typing. And then the computers came. We all went, oh my gosh, now we're not going to have a job.
Right.
The computers are going to take it. Well, now they're all screaming about AI. AI is
Right.
going to take over. I said, AI can't build a house. AI can't sell real estate. Number one, AI cannot have a relationship. And that's the thing that we must get back to. We have to have relationships. That's what coaching's all about. Building a relationship and a trust in someone that you know that has been on a road. And I really will say this, and I know this about Tim too, as my friend. We've always strived for excellence. And when you strive for excellence, other people notice that and they want to learn from you. They want to learn, how did you do that? And believe me, we had to pivot and we fell and got bruises knees.
Sure.
We bumped our elbows.
Yeah.
You know, we fell on our faces. We all have. We all have experienced failure. You know, when the 90s came and all of a sudden I got into real estate in 94 where the bank, that was the first REO thing. And I had to learn how to write bank contracts and all that. And I sold houses that didn't even have an electrical in them. Right. I don't even know how I did that. Then I came to El Dorado Hills and I sold one in the Summit, which wasn't finished by a contractor. I don't know how I sold that either. But anyway,
you find a way.
Yeah, you pivot. You pivot. So
Yeah.
if you take anything, you look at, okay, so here's what's happening in the world, and it's everywhere. I mean, we don't even get into that, but you got to have a mindset of, the sky's not falling. Tim and I always say that.
Right.
Sky's not really falling. It's just we're experiencing change. Change is happening. And, you know, I'm a senior. I'm very proud to say I've made it this far. You actually should be proud of it. I'm in what they call the golden years, and I would make a real good joke about that, but we're on a podcast. What's golden about it? But anyway, you know, it's funny. And they tax Social Security. I find that out. Like, oh, really? I've waited to take it. Now you're going to tax it? Yeah. What? Yeah. That was a shock. But anyway, you just have to have this mindset of, look outside. I'm out in this great studio, and if I walk out the door, there's green grass. There were horses coming down the street when I came out here. I'm like, you know, the world is not falling apart if you just look at it from a different, I guess the rose-colored glasses is a good point. But and learn to pivot.
Again, to your point of the importance of education. When TRID came along, I actually was out knocking on office doors and doing real estate meetings, and the whole purpose of it was to educate agents as to how we're going to navigate through these new rules. And no, transactions didn't take 90 days. And in fact, today we close them in 15 days, no questions asked. I mean,
or less.
Yeah. And by the way, TRID's still in effect, so it's not like that went away. And it's the same with the up and coming changes, whatever they're going to end up being as far as buyers agents. My message there is, again, to your point, look, we have between now and whenever as agents to educate ourselves as to how this affects our business. How do we pivot, using your terms, right? And learn about how to make this work. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we will. Yeah, we will. Exactly to your point, because of relationships. Yeah. How many real estate companies, I don't even know what we call them, that really promoted not using agents, right? Is it like the purple bricks and all that?
Those have all gone away. You know, most
isn't
of them.
that amazing?
Yeah. Remember, that was another threat.
Yeah.
We were threatening all these companies going to come in and they're going to have different people do different stages of the transaction. Well, all that came and went too.
And the result is because people want to work with people. Yeah. You know, I had a guest in the studio a few weeks back, and we had a conversation about AI. And there are some jobs that AI could very well replace. However, there's also a lot of jobs that will be created as a result of AI. But in our industry in particular, AI cannot, to your point, replace what it is we do. At Figure, when we shifted gears to say, listen, our customer is the loan originator, all of a sudden things started changing for us considerably. Not to say the homeowner isn't our customer, but they're our end customer, our first. We get to that person with the loan originator. It's the same with realtors. You can put all the AI and online stuff you want. That's great. But if you really want to help that homeowner, that potential homeowner, you're going to need to team up with a realtor. You know, and it's no different for us in the lending industry. You know, so I don't know. I think educate.
And then, you know, when it comes to coaching, the other thing about coaching is that you really get into the nitty gritty of, you know, who people, you know, what skills do they have to use to talk to another person and, you know, and reach them. See, part of the issue we have is everybody has their own persona, we'll say. That's an easy way to say it. And they need to have this relationship. They have to build this trust with each other. And that's what is hard in individuals with, some people that go through a lot of things in their life. If you have some friends like that and they, they're kind of doom and gloom and you're like, it doesn't have to be like that, you know? And then you also, when you're working with people in an environment, you always know that one that you're saying, oh, that person's just not in a happy space or something's going on, I mean, we have to be more empathetic to others. I think empathy is an underdeveloped skill. I think if we're more empathetic to each other and have that friendship that, and it takes a long time to build the kind of friendship that Tim and I have had. Mostly we built it through our business success together when he was my main lender and I was his agent in the sense of we worked very closely with people. And, we had to perform at a level for people that we were synergized. And I think that's something that people are searching now. They want to feel the synergy because we were sort of lone wolves out there. Right. Because the world's like that. So if you can get that synergy with each other and kind of build that trust and that momentum, you can do amazing things. And I tell people, I tell my grandkids, I say, you can do whatever you can achieve anything you want. Yeah, are you going to fall and have bumps and bruises? Sure. We all have. Yeah. I mean, it's a journey, but the world is your oyster, as they always say. I mean, I'm coining phrases now. I'm getting corny, but seriously, the world is your oyster. And if you had said to me 30 years ago in real estate, I would be here now, starting to do more coaching on my own with my skill set development company, which I love. And I can't give up real estate because I have people that know me, like Tim, and other people that still refer me. So it's like, I'm not going to say no to them. Right. And I still enjoy training the newer agents, but they are still questioning and learning. And, it's hard. When I got in the industry, things were changing. It's changing for them. So, everybody, the shifting and that pivoting is really a tough thing to learn. I mean, that's the toughest thing, I think.
Yeah. So I love everything you said there. Of course, you and I are on the same page on this. And I don't think the sky's falling. I do think it's great for folks like you. I haven't gone down this path yet, per se. It is very naturally who I am to help others. But you said a few minutes ago how much you enjoy training new agents. And that's huge. By the way, not a lot of people do. Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, you're a realtor now. Good luck. We're all counting on you. Yeah.
No, that was the thing. I told my first manager I wanted to sit in the top production pod of agents. And she goes, well, you can't sit there. You're not a top producer. And I said, let me make a deal with you. I can't believe I did this in a lot of jobs. The first guy I went to work for, he told me I couldn't have the job because I didn't have the experience. And I said to him, well, if you don't give me the experience, how the heck am I going to ever get a job? So he hired me too. Yeah. So she let me sit with the top producers. Well, I had to work my off to be one that year at Prudential, but I was. So am I driven? I'm a driver, if you know those. But the thing is that I have my downtime too. We all do. But the experience helping people learn an industry is very difficult, especially in real estate. I mean, Tim knows. I mean, there are so many facets to what we do in real estate. So actually coaching to me is a little easier.
Well, I know, but don't you find it very rewarding?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I love.
You know what I used to tell, Tim and I worked at the same company for a while with Century 21. Yeah. And what I used to say to my trainees, I'd say, it's my job to make you better than I am. I mean, I honestly feel that way. That's the one thing about me. If I'm going to coach you or I'm going to help you, I want to make you the best you can be for you, not for me, for you. And that's why I enjoyed training so much. And I trained for Prudential hundreds of agents. Funny thing is, I can pick out who's going to really bust tail and who's not. But if I can find the key, I call it a key, to them for themselves, they surprise themselves. And they go, I didn't think I could do this. Yeah. And I go, see? But real estate's people don't realize, and a lot of people get into it, it is very much a people business. And now, you're hit by Texas constantly. I mean, you're on. And that's hard, but there's different attributes in that industry that if you develop, you can kind of really excel in it and do well. I mean, and working with people is People skills are huge.
Yeah, well, and you said earlier, you mentioned finding balance, and that's not easy.
Nope.
That is not easy. It's so funny. I've been so overwhelmed with not only my new role at Figure, but also this renovation project.
That's nothing worse than doing your house.
You saw my motorcycle on the other side of the curtain.
Oh, he's got Ruby.
And the thing is I stopped riding it.
Yeah. Oh no.
And I'm going to say right now, it's been a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Because I love
part of you.
It's
part of
who
you.
I am.
Yeah.
And yet I've put so much emphasis on my work life, on my.
So we're gonna do a tiny bit of my coaching skill.
Okay.
And why did you stop writing? Why?
Well, I had stuff to do.
So there was no time in there for Tim?
That's Tim's problem. Tim always puts more emphasis on everyone else before I do
So then
Tim.
what happens to Tim?
Well, yeah.
Tim doesn't ride and Tim's not happy. Tim's
Right.
not, doesn't work like that. So my advice to you is get back on that bike.
Yeah. No, I need to.
Back on the bike.
In
That's
fact-
like life. Get back on the bike and ride. Always ride,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful bike, by the way. I saw it. I said, does it have a name? He goes, no. I said, we're going to call it Ruby.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful.
I might just start with.
She's getting on. He'll get on it tomorrow now. I said that. But that's what a coach does. We say, why? Why aren't you doing that for you? So balance. Balance is, I started in real estate with a baby that was 6 weeks old. He came early. And so I had to go to San Francisco to get my license and get back to the house just to give him some milk, literally.
Yeah.
So that's how my career started. And I went, this is crazy. But I was with those children. I told my clients, and I want the agents that listen to this, I said to them, at 6 o'clock, I make dinner for my family. I can see you after 7:30. I never changed that when those boys were growing up. My husband would put them to bed if I had to go out.
Sure.
It wasn't every night. But I've worked 30 years, nights and weekends if I've had to. I've done whatever it took to get to the place I've gotten. But I will say this, balance is huge. You just have to, and even if you go for a walk around the lake, which I love to do. I love to be outside. Nature is huge for your soul. It
Agreed, 100%.
It feeds endorphins that we need. And here's my thing. I always tell my kids, my grandson says, why don't you learn games on the phone? Noni with me. We call me Noni. It's the crazy Hawaiian fruit I'm named after. And I go, I don't have time for that because I have to take time for myself. If I start playing games, I'll never get anything done, right? So look at your life and say, okay, where can I make adjustments? Like I go to yoga now every Wednesday night. I do yin yoga, which is much easier on your body. If those of you that know yoga, it's amazing what it does for you and toning you and losing weight and your soul and just everything. And it's quiet. You get that quiet that we don't get.
Right.
If we're not answering an email, what are we doing? We're looking at our phone.
Right.
It's crazy. So you just have to get back on the bike. That's what we're going to talk about. Back on the bike.
Yeah, you're hired. But people say, what did your coach say? He told me to ride my motorcycle out.
Yeah, don't you love? And that's what I do with my people. I say, get back on your bike. Go take a weekend down in Florida. I have a client that's in the Midwest. He goes, I'm not doing well. I said, go down to Florida, get some sun. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And he did. He texted me. I came. I did it. It's a simple thing. And and people want to do it. Tim wants to get back on his bike or he wouldn't have said that, right? So that's the key I heard. I haven't ridden my bike. Well, that's the key we work with, see? Right. So that's coaching. And and you know what I want to tell you, the most rewarding thing, and Tim knows this, when you have relationships with people like that, you learn from them too. It's very rewarding back to me by what I do. All facets, real estate, spending time with a good friend, helping people find their keys, as we call it. Yeah, it's extremely rewarding in return. It's like a give take. Tim had mentioned that earlier in our conversation, and I really see that that's huge. And if people look at it differently, instead of being a lone wolf out there or a lone soldier, whatever you want to call it, and work together, the world would be so different. So different.
It's interesting because, again, I think it comes down very much to who you are as a person. You've been this person for 30 years. It's just that now we kind of have a label and a title for it, right? It's a coach, it's a mentor, it's a leader. And we use those terms much more commonly now. We did not use those terms 20 and 30 years ago, right?
We didn't.
No one used those words.
Leadership, what's that?
And it's interesting because even in my current role, I think sometimes folks think that maybe it's not genuine, but I can tell you to my core that I literally established the Sales Success Studio because I'm that committed to everyone else's success. I'm so committed to it that I'm convinced myself, and I do believe to my core this is true, that if the people that work around me and with me and report up to me, whatever the case is, if they're successful, my reward will be the result.
Exactly.
I never, ever have approached a transaction based on how much money I was going to earn.
No, me neither.
If I helped enough people, the result, the income would be the result.
That's right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's very supportive. That is the reward. The reward is the results that you create, and you see it in someone else. It's not about you. And that's why you're successful.
I have to tell you, and of course, some of your kids and some of our kids are roughly the same age, and they played sports together and rode dirt bikes together over the years. And as you know, I coached youth and high school football for a while, and I'll never, ever forget, I had this parent meeting with all the kids trying out. And I let them know who I was as a coach, and I let them know that my only objective was to help kids fall in love with the game, be better at the end of the season than they were at the beginning, and maybe most importantly, continue to play the game. That was my focus. And that we would not measure our success based on wins. Now, when I said that, I literally had parents think that I was out of my mind. Mm-hmm. Like, you're saying you want to lose. I didn't say that.
See, that's mindset right there.
I didn't say I wanted to lose. Mm-hmm. I said it's not how we'll judge our success.
That's right.
By the way, when the kids are having fun and they fall in love with the game and they're getting better, the wins were the result.
Exactly.
And we never had a losing season. Nope. Now, I've got a buddy of mine that's going to hear this, and he's going to say, yeah, but you never had a championship. Whatever.
Is that how we... So that's another thing. Let's talk about that. I love the word success. Let's take that word for a second. Success to everyone is different. The success you see in someone that you train, mentor, coach, or spend time with, their success is their success. Your success is yours. You cannot label success for someone else. And if someone says to you, well, you didn't get a championship, well, that doesn't mean they weren't successful.
Right.
Because you won a lot of games. So it's again, the mindset that you look at something.
Well, I identified that for me, as the coach, and using this example, for me, success was going to be how many of my players came back the next year.
Exactly.
And continue to play the game. And if they continue to play the game, win or lose, we were successful.
Yeah, that's right.
That was how I laid it out.
They felt successful, and that made you feel like there was a result. The result was.
It's interesting because I find the exact same thing happening over the years. You've heard me say it time and time again that our interest rate's important, yes, but it's not why a homeowner makes a decision to do a transaction, right? They don't say, I'm only going to buy a house if I can get 3%. There's something else driving that need, and what's the strategy to help them accomplish that? That's my focus, right? Well, what's interesting is when I say that, so many people think that what I said was that interest rates don't matter. And that's not what I said.
No, people don't listen either. Yeah,
of course interest rates matter. But let me ask you a question, Lindell. Can you change interest rates?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't figured it out. I've been calling the Fed. I keep...
Well, yeah. Can we fix this? Hey, so the other thing is, remember 2020 when it hit? That was one of the busiest years I ever had. I wore a mask and gloves and everything. My clients all called me, we need a bigger house. I'm going to kill the kids. No, I need room to study. Honey's come home to work. We don't have enough desk space. Can you come over? We have to sell. We have to buy. We do this. I was like, oh my gosh, the world's changing. I mean, that changed us. Oh. And so Tim hit it on the head. It's all about people's needs. It's not about what the interest rate is or how much the house costs. It's what's the person's need. Some people, right now I heard a story this morning, these seniors, they have just Social Security income, but they both have separate homes that I think they were investment pieces from what I understood. And they wanted $1 million loan to buy $1 million house, get rid of the two other houses. Sure. Well, they go, no, you can't do that. You're on this. And they said, no, there's assets in those.
Right.
So there was a solution. You see, that was the solution I was talking about. Right. That's the mindset. When people say, well, it's all about the interest rate. No, it's not. There's buy downs, and we could get into that language, Tim and I, but there's so many options out there that, we had back in the day a little too much creative financing, but there are creative ways to make things work. So there's
creative ways to establish strategies to help people accomplish what they need to. It's interesting. You may or may not know this, but even though it says it on my logo there, over the years, and you were a part of it too, over the years, run around with the select group real estate and all that, everyone just started nicknaming me or calling me T Rowe, right?
T
My
Rowe.
name is Tim Rowe, and everyone's like, T Rowe,
T
T
Rowe,
Rowe. And now
T
I go to
Rowe.
conferences and everything, right? So I thought, okay, well, heck, I'm just going to run with it.
Yeah.
And I turned it into an acronym, and it simply means I want everybody to always think, retain, obtain, and win every day. Just think about that.
Think, retain, obtain, win. I love that.
How are you going to
You broke
retain
it
your
down.
business?
I love it.
How are you going to obtain new business?
Yeah.
And if you do those things, you're going to win, and do them every day.
Yeah.
So.
And
anyway.
you brought up a great word too, strategy.
Yes.
That's a lot of people's problems. One of the things I do when they start in a career, and we look at careers when I coach, and we say, okay, let's talk about your business plan. People go, what?
Yeah.
When I got into real estate, Tim knows this, I had a business plan. I couldn't afford to fail. Construction was having a hard time. We had 2 little boys to feed, and I like to eat too. So does Honey. Honey likes to eat more. So I'm like, wait a second, we got to fix this. And so there was the case of, okay, let's have a plan. You have to have a plan. And even if the plan has a hiccup and you fail in some aspect, pivot.
Right.
Just go to a different side of the plan.
Exactly.
But don't always have a strategy. And I think that's what's wrong now. We've lost sight of what a strategy is or what a business plan is. I love the word business plan, but now it's more, I like Tim's word, strategy. Yeah. What's your strategy to get there?
Right.
He said that think, retain, obtain, and win is his strategy. Yeah. And he finally put it into words. So yeah, and I love it, by the way. I saw it and I thought that's cool. But yeah, so yeah, just think about that strategy, because business plan is kind of an old word, I guess. It
is an old word, and yet it's an old word, right? But then coaching and mentorship and leadership is a much more commonly new word, right? And so, and it's needed. Yeah. I mean, it's really, really needed.
I have to tell you something really fun. You know, John Maxwell just released a new book, and the last book he wrote, which is really interesting, that was from the 2021 end of COVID, kind of was called Leader Shift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the last book. And the new one that he released, I can't say it yet because it's coming out, but it is a mindset that I totally believe in. And when you see it, because it's all over, you're going to hear about it. I think it's released May 5th. It is the true mastery of leadership. And like I said, I've always wanted to excel as Tim has. You know, we just, and it's not, it's not like we got lucky. You know, people say, oh, you got lucky. No, we worked at it. He and I worked at our mindsets, and I mean, there were times, we were there when the interest rates went down, when the banks went through their evolution, I call it. See, that's even not a negative word. I don't like that other word. They start with a C. So, it was an evolution. It was a change. So, yeah, you have to look at things like, okay, what's your strategy? What is your true strategy? And where are you going to go? Like I just got through doing, and Tim doesn't even know I did this, but I'm a Seroptimist. And what the Seroptimists do is we go and we help young ladies that are coming out of continuing education for college or high school. And we do a series of talks. And they're like a classroom setting, and there was like 18 girls. And I did obstacles and stress. Wow. And you'd be surprised how many of those young ladies are so stressed out because they're trying to figure out what career am I going to? What am I going to do? And I gave them my example. I said, you know what? I was a real estate agent for 30 years, and I was actually a professional model before that. So I did that to make money to go to college. And then I got my skills together and I just went into real estate, because one of the reasons I went into real estate, there was no cap on income. That's what I loved the most. There was no cap. Tim and I can make as much as we want if the market will bear, because sometimes the market doesn't bear that. But the point is, these people, when you look at things, I told these young ladies, I said, I'm on my third career now launching this coaching, because I've been so blessed to have been around, and it's been part of in my DNA now. I want to help people more. Right. And so I tell them, don't be worried about what you start with. Just have a strategy where you're going, it's an evolution. We're all in an evolution time, If you would have said to me, I don't want to disclose my age. If you would have said to me at my age now, the world would be the way it is, when I was a product of the 70s, I'm like, and they used to give us a hard time because we were too out there and peace, love, and happiness. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, peace, love, and happiness is a lot better than we're doing now. The friendship I have with Tim is gold. I mean, seriously, think about it. It's very different. So strategy, I think that's a real, and Tim said it, I think that's a real word to look at. What's your strategy down the road? And their faces just lit up and brightened up when I said, what you're going to do tomorrow at 18 years old may not be what you do at 60, It's
definitely a good chance that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so you mentioned a couple of books, which is awesome, and a couple of them you've kept double probation top secret. So I'll look forward to hearing more.
Yeah,
about
you got to
those
hear
as
about
they-
that one. Yeah,
they roll out.
I'm actually gonna be able to train on that. So
love that.
I'd love to do a training for you guys if you want one.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm in mentorship for John Maxwell because I've been a trainer for so long, or a coach and a speaker.
Yeah.
So I can train on that, and it's a great book. I mean,
that's awesome.
I've been on the ground floor of knowing about it. I did not help
Right.
write it or anything. I don't want to get misinformation there.
So, as you know, I love the concept of mindset, and of course, so much of what we've talked about so far today surrounds that topic. And I want to share with you that I read a book recently. It's by far my favorite book so far on this topic, but it's called The Gap and the Gain.
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned it to me.
It's unbelievable because it really breaks it down like you're either the type of person living in a gap, meaning there's no solution for anything, or and the sky is falling.
Yeah.
It short of using a different term, or you're living in the gain.
Yeah.
Where you always find a way to find what that positive is. And the author gives an example, which I think was so telling because we've all had children. We've all been in this exact scenario. If he takes his kids to Disneyland, he's got a son and a daughter. And when you go to Disneyland as a small family, you can only afford to buy one cookie, right?
Yeah. Disneyland's really expensive now,
really expensive, right? So he breaks the cookie in half. Well, the son gets a half and the daughter gets a half. And of course, they're not of equal sizes. It'd be next to impossible to break it perfectly, right? The son is upset because his cookie is smaller than his sister's. And that is a gap mindset versus a gain mindset would be just be happy to have that cookie.
And you know what I would do?
You know
I'd
what I mean?
switch with them.
Right,
Being the sister, Tim would do the same. We'd
yeah.
just say, here, take my cookie.
Yeah,
Shut
and
up.
me, I'd come up with a strategy to take my sister's cookie. No,
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So I love that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and it's just so important, and it's talked about more and more, of course, from, again, coaching and mentorship and leadership and whatnot, but it's huge. And all of this, by the way, comes full circle right back to the importance of education.
Oh, yeah. Education's
As
huge.
agents, loan originators, anybody, truthfully, educate yourselves as to what's going on and how do you pivot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you like that word.
I do.
Yeah. Well, see, I feel like I'm certified by John Maxwell, who is he's so well known as a leadership guru and a coach and a trainer. And I go to Florida twice a year to hear him, and I'm around people from all over the world. These people, I got to help a person from Spain on my last responsibility. I was there. I had a table, and we helped those speakers get certified. And one was from Romania and one was from Spain. And they were so nervous about their language barrier, and I had to critique them with some of my table mates because I engaged them because it's important for them to learn, right? That's what you do when you're a leader. So we're doing this, and they both come up to me in their languages. I'm so nervous about my language. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid. I said, just take a deep breath, and when you speak, don't even worry about it. Guess what? They were flawless. They were flawless because we took away that doubt. Oh, I'm going to blow it. You know, that's what we do. That little voice in our head all the time. Oh, I'm not good enough. I can't do that.
Right.
You know, that whole thing that goes on, that other little brain that we shouldn't be listening to. Don't listen to it.
We all face that.
Yeah, we all do it.
I face that all the time.
The little voice. You can't do that. No.
Yeah.
And they were just beaming. And they both got certified coaches. They went back to their countries, Spain and Romania. And they're going to, teach other people how to coach, speak, and train now because they're certified. Yeah, that was amazing. That was so rewarding. So that's the kind of things I talk about when I'm coach, and I couldn't do that if I wasn't certified. And I felt that was my next step. I did it in 2016, so I've had it for a while. I've used it. I used it more for my leadership skills and developing that, but now I'm hoping to I am doing a lot more with it. I don't know where the sky is. There's no limit, remember?
That's right. That's right.
No limit.
So what I want to leave this with here today, first and foremost, thank you for
You're
coming
very
down
welcome.
to the studio. This is awesome.
I had a great
and I'm
time
sure
with
we'll
you.
do this more.
Yes, I hope so.
Now there's no hiding from you. You know where I'm at.
I found his house.
You
No, I'm
found me.
kidding.
You're coming. Here's where I see the opportunity and the importance of educating ourselves to this topic and therefore making a pivot. I'm gonna beat that word. I'm gonna
you
use
love that. Just like, so what if it wasn't? So what if
right,
it is?
So yeah, right, exactly. Obviously, there's changes. You said it earlier.
Yeah.
There's changes taking place in the industry. By the way, there always will be.
Oh, yes.
Right? This next change coming up, I think, is an incredible opportunity for all of us in the industry, both in lending and in real estate. And what I mean by that is I've believed for a long time that we've needed to make a change in regards to how we present and provide value to our clients.
Best word, value.
You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And as we move forward into this new world of real estate, which is getting ready to change yet again, what an incredible opportunity for us to basically rewrite the rule book and decide, I don't care about how it was, but in fact, I'm going to control how it needs to be.
Exactly.
That, to me, is the magic sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage anybody listening, really adopt that.
Yeah.
And, of course, I'm going to say pivot again.
Yeah.
I'm going to say educated again. I'm going to say, well, just
Pivot.
What the heck?
And then I'm going to say, on top of Tim's thought, value. If you bring your value. Like I talked about what I've done. Tim talked about what he does. What is your value? Everybody's valuable. Everybody's valuable. Remember that.
Yeah.
So, and other people, they want to know, but you don't have to be strong about it. You just have to show them. It's like how you teach your kids. You just show people. You don't have to go out and toot your horn, or you just groom yourself and show up.
Right.
Show up. That's another word. Show up.
So I, of course, will do all the post-production stuff. We'll get ready to launch this podcast and whatnot. Can you send me any of your contact information? I want to be sure, because
absolutely,
listeners, if you want to reach out to Linda Ellen, I want to make sure that
I'd love you to. I'd love to spend some time and get to know you. I mean, that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
How can I help?
Well, and there may be no better time than to team up with you to figure this, kind of work through this,
Because things are changing. Look at the job opportunities. And, someone said to me the other day in the real estate field, we were talking, and we look at it differently, like Tim and I do. We look at it like, okay, what's the opportunity? Right. He just said it. There's an opportunity coming. Every time there's a pivot or a shift, there's an opportunity coming.
Right.
So, look at it that way. Don't look at it, oh, gosh, And education, we talked about that. That's huge.
Yeah.
In anything you do in your life, be educated.
I will be sure to put all that that contact information. If you we'll put in LinkedIn pages or whatever.
Yes, I have LinkedIn.
We'll make sure that people can reach out and connect with you. The reality is I already see you're going to be back. We're going to be doing this again, and so let's stay close.
Yeah, we will,
especially on this topic and changes and the importance of making a pivot and the education that's going to be required. And by the way, it's going to be a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of education.
New stuff's coming.
Required, for this. But
small steps at a time.
Linda Ellen, thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Tim.
So
T
check
Rowe.
this out. Linda Ellen in studio. T Rowe is done. Linda Ellen, thank you again.
You're so welcome, buddy.
See ya.